today. I think we have some of most of the folks that were tuning in, but I'm actually going to stop sharing for a second and kind of hand it over to our host, and then we'll kind of go from there. So Reggie and Deanna, I'll kind of kick it over to you all to kind of start.
Outstanding. One of the things I want to say is I thank Deanna giving us the opportunity to do this, because this is vital to us as veterans, including our mil spouses and families across the globe, because this is one of the things that we don't talk about. And I just appreciate you, Deanna, and everybody at the EXP Military Network, just as a whole entire family and brothers and sisters, that we just kind of came together and decided to do this, because it's really, really important. And you just get tired of hearing the stories, the statistics, and it needs to be addressed. And we need to continue pushing a narrative and helping our brothers and sisters across the world. So, of course, I'm a realtor here. My wife and I, we've been doing this real estate thing ever since 2016, and it's just been amazing. But really, I started out myself as, of course, a Navy cat, and got out, and a lot of things I dealt with, and ran into DP. And ever since then, man, it's just been a complete blessing to give back and help our brothers and sisters across the world with their, not only with claims, but just other facets of things that they need. So just really, really appreciative and very grateful. So I'll pass it off to Deanna, and then we'll have DP do his awesomeness today.
Hi, guys. I just want to welcome everybody. Send out a special thank you to Reggie. He's our chairman of Veteran Resources for the EXP Military Network, and it's been a really important mission of ours and mine from the beginning of our relaunch of the military network, that we really bring value to the needs of our veterans and their families, especially agents who are growing successful real estate business who are also veterans. And as part of that, we've got this great partnership that we've started with the Veterans Network and DP, and he brings his talent and his passion and his love for what he does in helping all of our veterans. So I want to thank DP. We want to thank Reggie, and of course Brian, who's sitting here helping us out also. Thanks for everything, and I hope this brings a lot of value, and that you guys can use it in your own lives or take it home and help a family member or even your clients in your real estate transactions. But welcome, and thanks for being here.
Awesome. All righty. So let us begin. So welcome, everyone. Again, thank you for your patience, as we had a little bit of technical difficulties getting some of the technology in place, but it wouldn't be technology if it didn't mess up on us, right? So kind of go hands in hand. With that being said and done, the topic today, we're talking why veterans need to seek mental health help, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about that and go down that road, the agenda for the day, talk a little bit about VNCC, kind of what we do on our side, situation overview to kind of present the conversation. And then we're going to a Q&A. I think a lot of value really comes from our ability to have a Q&A and have a conversation, right? So it's not going to be death by PowerPoint. The goal here is to learn something, begin the conversations with you all as leaders in what you all do. So with that being said and done, let us begin at the start point, right? Because I think we have to go back to the beginning to get to where we're at. I'm sure here we're all having to be, to conference in person, right? Everybody has seen this in some shape, fashion, form. It's not a foreign concept of what this means, right? Whether or not you were drafted, you served, we deal with a myriad of veterans from all demographics, all ages. This is where it started, right? A contractual obligation to start a journey into service, right? The first thing you saw in the beginning, right, was us talking about service, right? So we come from a nature of service. We want to help, we want to be there for someone. And we began this journey of going down this rabbit hole of serving and going our respective ways, right? Check. So where do we come from, right? We went ahead and got into service. And the reality is that we have to go back to a place of understanding the business that we come from. We come from a profession of arms. And I'm saying that because sometimes I think that gets lost in conversation because of the fact that we're no longer serving. And you all, as well as professionals in your own way, are doing the business of serving veterans and serving families and so forth as well. But when we start to look at the fact that where we came from, sometimes a lot of veterans kind of forget this, especially our older veterans who are so far removed from what exactly service was for us. And we take pride in that, right? We took pride in the fact that we did all these things at high levels, but we begin to unravel also the point that this training, this excellence that we come from also handicapped us in certain ways, post-service, because in service, right, we did amazing things, and we see as we recognize these things, right? Now, of course, to be a little kind of light to it all, we realize in the reality, right, what that really means is this. So if anybody has served or spent some time, this is what it looks like or it feels like when we're dealing interagency with each other, right? So we'll put the Army on the left, we'll put Navy on the right, go Army, beat Navy, right? Go Army, sink Navy, or go Navy, beat Army, whichever way you want to kind of go with it, right? So that really kind of gives us a point there. But the reality is that there was a transition period, right? And for a lot of our veterans, that left to right happened literally overnight. Going from a place where we took pride in what we did, and all of a sudden now to the right, we see that sometimes we may feel forgotten, or we're disattached, or we don't belong to a team anymore, right? You see that veteran out there, and we've kind of have stereotyped the conversation for veterans, right? Disabled, broken, VA, not what they used to be, et cetera, right? Thank you for your service, but then what does that mean? So to begin the concept, understanding, hey, we signed a contract, we came into agreement for something. Something got lost in the process. And it's not like it's not stated, because when you go to the VA, it's pretty much there in black and white. I just think sometimes we just forget that part of that contract was to also understand that the VA would care for him or her who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow and his orphan. It's a nice plaque that sadly the words are hollow with what we've seen. And I'm not into the demonizing of left or right or extremism. No, there are good people doing good work. We cannot address something without being real as to what are the faults, what is missing, what is not happening. That's the reality that we have to get to first before we can help somebody else. Again, this is a heavy topic. So to, again, add levity to it, this is honestly what it feels like sometimes when a veteran goes to the VA. Let me give you the sound.
He's here! He's here! Come on, baby, come on, get your sign. Brandon, bring the camera. Come on, let's go. Here. Hold it out. Hold it out right for Daddy, so Daddy can see. There you go.
Rocky! Oh, my boy! There's my boy!
Teddy bear!
Rocky,
Just
do
for you,
it!
teddy
Oh,
bear.
gosh, look. Look at this good boy. Hey, you want that? You want that toy? You want that toy?
Why isn't he coming? He's coming, he's
Oh,
coming.
my gosh, I love you so much, Rock. Oh, hey, let's go. Come on, boy. Good dog, good dog. There we go. Oh, I missed you so much.
That's for Rocky! That's for Rocky!
Again, as backward as that seems, that's sometimes exactly what it feels like when we're dealing with the VA, when we're dealing with the fact of having to embrace the concept of service. So who am I? To begin the conversation, my name is DP, Dave Pineda, the founder of VNCC. And you'll see here a bunch of pictures that seem nice, some that my mom had someplace and I had to pull up. But I really want to set the tone to the fact that, like I've said many a times when I had this conversation, I don't recognize the person to the top left. I don't smile that way anymore. I'm a disabled Army combat veteran. I'm a retired federal air marshal. I worked as a federal law enforcement officer undercover traveling the world, both on ground assignments and in travel. And now I have a service dog. And that transition from the top left to the bottom right, it's not a, hey, look at me. It's saying that I'm not a spring chicken, but at the same token, I'm pretty young, but some things have happened, some things have changed. And I would give anything to be able to travel the world again, to be of use again the way I thought it was supposed to be. But the reality is that we're here We're now dealing with this, normalizing the conversation of a disability. The reality is that something happens from that 17-year-old kid who went to boot camp to the person holding a service dog to the bottom right. There's no sparkle in the eye. The smile's not there. There is a change. This is something reminiscent with a Vietnam veteran, a Korean War veteran, a Gulf War veteran, any veteran who has seen or experienced things, regardless of how it happened. Some details of what we do here you'll see on the bottom. And of course, for my Marines in the room, you'll see to the far right that I also did graduate from the Marine Corps University, Command and Staff College. So I have to give a shout out to the Marine Corps because as an Army individual, the Marines are special, near, dear to my heart. To kind of give the understanding of what we do at VNCC, we have a great cast of individuals who are helping us behind the scenes. These are the individuals that are there just for context. We can discuss it later on, but there's many initiatives that these amazing individuals are able to do. But as far as what we do here at VNCC, and the reason that we talk about this is claim support, personal dev, and business dev. And all this means, bottom line up front, it's simply this. Claim support, benefit support is making a point to help a veteran get whole. Because if a veteran is whole for what contractually was supposed to happen, when Uncle Sam said, DP, we want you. And DP gave his youth, his time, his energy. And over time, there has been some things and some issues and deployments and things that as a 17-year-old I wasn't ready for. As a 9/11 responder, I was in New York City and I was there a half hour after the towers fell and was there all the way till March 2002 and then deployed to Iraq and did many things and then went to counterterrorism and did many things. But life has changed. So making a veteran whole, understanding what we need to get them somewhere unlocks many things, even down to a VA home loan and other things. But beyond that, just getting to a place of having a conversation. So these are some of the things that we do, but getting down to the facts is this. I always like to talk about this because it's facts. It's not DP made a thing up or pulled a crazy stat. Here's the reality. If there are veterans here, and if you are a veteran, let me know in the chat here as well, if you did serve, what years you were in and what branch of service, just because, of course, we're going to be interactive here. This comes from the VA's strategic planning. And the stats that they're providing here, I want to basically orientate you to the situation because when we're talking mental health, among the veteran population, we have to understand that we've experienced things, we've been exposed to things, but things have changed. So how do we begin to rectify the conversation? Well, first of all, let's look at the assessments. So as of this time frame, we're looking at 19.5 million veterans who are living, but contrary to common belief, not every veteran is rated because the stigmas, because I'm not dealing with issues, because I don't have a problem. Now, what's alarming to me is the second highlighted point, the projected veterans will be alive by 2028. 16 million. What will happen to 3.5 million veterans? Many of those will be casualties for natural causes and other statistics. Point 10, veterans are actually receiving care or compensation rather from the VA, right? Because again, because of their mental health status, things that they're dealing with, right? Those things have impacted them. It's 5.14 million. And the reality is that has to sink in. Just because you may have met 10 veterans who are rated, that does not constitute the entirety of veterans. Just because you know 5 veterans who are 100%, that does not constitute the totality. So that's frame set. 19 million veterans, of which only 5.14 million are rated. And I am not saying in any shape, fashion, or form that all veterans are disabled. I am not saying that. But everybody here knows at least 2 people who we know for a fact are abusing themselves and doing things, knowing good and well that they actually should retire, should not do that job anymore, but they have to pay the bills and they do not have the opportunities to do that. People that you all have helped to do something, because part of what VNCC is also about is creating a space for conversation with levity, obviously, and not going too deep at times. So hence, kind of bring up the mood with some jokes. But the reality is this is serious business. We come from the profession of arms. We have men and women who are no longer here. I showed you pictures of myself, but the reality, like I've always said, is that there should be better men and women leading this conversation. Unfortunately, Captain Romlikin is not here because he is dead. Unfortunately, Sergeant Cumberbatch Benedict, not around. Unfortunately, fill in the blank is not here. So in their stead, we have to stand up. I have to speak and say what I have to say. But I promise you that they are better men and women. They should have been here right now having this conversation. But if they can't be here, I sure as hell won't sit back. So 3.5 million veterans will not be around by 2028. This is being planned. Resources, funding. How many veterans are rated 100%? 909,000. A far cry from 5 million. A further cry from 19.5 million. Not every veteran is rated, and sure as heck not every veteran is 100%. The alarming figure is number 13, veterans in receipt of individual unemployability benefits. If you don't know what that means a veteran who is not 100%, but they're over a threshold, where let's say they're stuck at 70, 80, or 90. And the difference between 90 and 100 is very big. It could mean the difference of literally having care for your family. If a veteran is 100% PNT, they not only have care for themselves, but they have CHAP VA benefits for their families. We literally have men out there and women out there pushing themselves to the brink just to keep the lights on, because that 10% rating is not enough. That 70% rating is not enough. And the reality is some veterans are quite frankly almost homeless, unemployable. They just cannot anymore. But they don't know about TDIU, total disability due to individual unemployability, AKA Logan is rated 90%. He cannot work anymore. He is unemployable. He can apply for this program and he will be paid 100% and receive all the benefits of 100%. He'll be subject to an income cap, but that really doesn't matter because he's unemployable. He's not able to work. And at least that fiscal responsibility and burden is not there. Veterans that are rated for PTSD, 1.2. So again, these numbers have to be said and mentioned because we assume things erroneously at times. And we have to begin the fact-checking aspect. This is straight from the VA. I'm not damning them or praising them. I'm just calling the stats out because every veteran is rated, right? And every other veteran is 100%. The facts are not actually stating that. To take a little bit deeper, this is the annual benefit report because, again, it has to be drilled into you as much as boot camp drilled into you the things that we knew. The reality is, if you look in the middle, I will orientate you to the bottom. You will see the total number of veterans who are rated, 5.2. This figure changes because this is 21. The other one was a few months behind. The total number of disabilities that are rated, you'll see is 31 million. Out of a population of 19 million. So the numbers remain. To the far left, you see the number breakdown. 17% of all rated disabilities veterans of the 5 million are rated 10%. And 18 are rated 100%. And then everything in between. So who again told you that everybody's rated? Because everybody believes that somebody could do it because anyone could do it and someone would do it, but nobody did it. That type of situation, right? Because you have to understand, Barbara, that people have it worse than me. But I promise you many more have it better. Because the reality is that because I purchased a house, I did not put David out of a house. The fact that you filed for your benefits and got the care you needed doesn't take away from somebody else's benefits. To the top right, the last point that I'll give you is the facts of where most of the claims center: musculoskeletal, auditory, neurological. We get it, bad back, knees, and so forth, etc. I get it, check, that makes sense. But look at the mental health side of the house. The most common degree of disability for mental health is 70%. This is the VA stats, not mine. But 37% of all disabilities are musculoskeletal in nature. I get it. You're a knuckle dragger. I get it. You marched and you did things and jumped out of aircrafts and your knees are bad and your hands hurt and things are not working. But we have to understand that there's a mental health component to all these things. All the other ratings, as you see, are 10 and below, with endocrine being 20%, the common degree of disability. But mental health, focus on mental health, not PTSD, mental health, anxiety counts, depression counts, in different ways, is 70%. Veterans are literally out there trying to make ends meet, unemployment rated 10, 20% because they don't know. Because if I file for mental health, the big bad boogeyman's coming after me. What are we talking about? We're literally losing ourselves. So I share these stats because you cannot have a conversation about where you're at until you know what is happening. No different than we can't realistically talk about real estate until we check out what your buying power is. Come on now. We could look at houses all day, but if I don't know where your credit's at and I don't know what you could purchase, we're literally window shopping. So let's go ahead and pull that credit. Let's see what those lenders look like. Let's see what your buying power is. Let's see what your debt to income ratio is. And let's go ahead and do something. Let's get you a home. Emphasis on the word home, not a house. I love what you guys did. I came down to the conference. And I'll say that one of the similarities we have here is a lot of our veterans have never come home. Have never come home. Vietnam era veterans who came back and were called names and spat on. You just suck it up and drive on. Korean War veterans, shell shock. The conversation of mental health still is a foreign one today. So we have to frame set these things because we're in the business of righting a wrong, of fixing problems. There is no reason, and I'll talk real estate to this, why someone who is in the minority, is the 1%, made a point to serve. Whether or not they were drafted, they did their service and did what they were supposed to do to the best of their abilities. And they do not have access or the ability to own property in the country they serve to protect, sworn to protect. That's just the reality. Why can't you buy a house? Because you were not brought up with physical education. You didn't know how to shoot an M16, but you were trained in boot camp. I don't know how to file a claim. That doesn't mean anything. I don't think I could ever buy a house because no one in my family has ever bought a house. If anyone here has ever worked with minorities, I'll tell you the biggest issue for minorities is we don't think of ownership in a country that's not ours. My grandfather spent 30 plus years driving a taxi cab to save money and buy a home to go back to the Dominican Republic, and he died here. Minorities bring this concept of going back. Sometimes you don't go back, which means the fiscal responsibility of buying, ownership, etc., are foreign to us as first generation kids. My father didn't teach me certain things. We have the ability to create conversations around these things, normalizing the conversation. So this is what the journey looks like for many veterans, right? Pre-service, right? We had goals that were undefined and tasks that at some point were accomplished, and we made a point to do what we had to do. Right? In service, we knew exactly what we were doing. Our goals were redefined. Our tasks were accomplished. We're mission oriented. But post-service, what happens? What is the unknown? It's great that Richard found his calling and went on to do great things. That's not my reality. I'm happy that Sam was able to do something that's not Jim's reality. Sometimes we have to understand that there are a lot of unknowns. And we're looking at mental health. It affects us in ways that we cannot begin to even understand. Because the end state at the end of the day is you want to serve, you want to belong, you want to just be again. People quote this movie, We Were Soldiers, but forget that the whole title of the book is We Were Soldiers Once and Young. Looking around, we're not soldiers, Marines, sailors, and airmen anymore. And we sure as heck ain't young. That doesn't mean the story stops or ends. So this is how we begin to break down this conversation. So our ability to begin to break down the points of a disability really goes down to the heart of actually what's happening. So to understand that, I want to take you to a quick claims kind of 101. If you've never seen this, right, I'm going to give you a series of scenarios to break down something, because again, you should learn something because you're going to work with someone or you yourself need to understand this. But Calusa B. Brown, this is what established the necessity requirement for service connection. One of the biggest issues when it comes to getting care as a veteran is not understanding how this dance goes. What I mean by that is healthcare and benefits are two different things. If I were, for example, to tell TC, Maria, or Logan, hey, is Social Security the same thing as Medicaid, Medicare? Of course it's not. Medicare, Medicare is very different than Social Security. Within the VA, we assume that healthcare and benefits are going hand in hand. And the reality is they do not. Just because the VA gave you medicine or gave you some healthcare does not mean they're compensating you. So it's not about focusing on disability. It's understanding that for many veterans, this is a journey going from one point to the next. So 3 things are needed. You have to have a diagnosis, you have to have an in-service event or stressor, and you have to have a nexus, i.e. what connects it. The further you've been out of service, the more it's needed to have this connection between current diagnosis and end state. So looking at this concept of mental health, I present to you this. It is a series of words and conversations and words that we've used at different times, but I promise you that there's nothing in here that is a disability. Because let's frame set. PTSD is not a disability, migraines is not a disability, GERD is not a disability, IBS is not a disability, strain deaths are not a disability, fill in the blank are not disabilities. Everything that you see on the screen, everything I've mentioned, they are all medical conditions. When those medical conditions now have symptoms that become disabling to you, impairing to you, now we're having a conversation about disabilities. Because when Barbara has a migraine, she may have to shut it down and can't function for the rest of the day. That hockey night out, not happening. That taking so-and-so to do with it, not happening. That birthday party, not happening. It's not a pop-up pill and you're good to go. The IBS is not my stomach, it's just kind of funky today. No, cancel the trip, I can't be on the road, right? That medical condition has become disabling. It is necessary to understand that. And the reason I say this is because we have to break down some stigmas as far as what exactly is it that is required for service connection. So I'm going to bring up one scenario, which I think is key. Usually hit on 3 of them, but there's the second and the third one that I want to show you. And these are true scenarios, but these are literally where we begin the conversation of what actually is missing. This is an Army veteran who served from 2011 to 2018. They have their medical records. You may have heard this story. They're rated 30%, back knee, tinnitus, and they want to go for an increase in other conditions, but they hate mental health. Now, here's the reality. Why exactly is it that we're hating mental health? I gave the spoiler alert earlier as far as how ratings can go for mental health. What's lacking here is the fact that I'm trying to explain to you, Linnell, I'm trying to explain to you, Melody, that as an Army veteran, I am rated 30% for my back and my knee and tinnitus, but this does not capture the totality of what I'm dealing with. I don't know how to explain to you how this is impacting to me. 30 is not an accurate picture of where I am at. How do you explain to someone that literally because of your rated conditions, you're unable to do something? Well, case in point, let's say, for example, that Richard is a surgeon and Melody is not. If they both lose tactical, abilities and are not able to use their hands, well, one just lost their profession and the other one just doesn't write a lot. The reality is that conditions affect folks differently. My inability to be on my feet for a long period of time means nothing unless you're a patrolman, unless you're someone that has to be on your feet. Vertigo to me and Logan mean nothing, but when you look at the fact that maybe Sam and Christina work on roofs, that's a problem, climbing ladders. But they're only rated the same. So what we're not seeing here is the mental health impact. So the conversation of getting care for health actually extends beyond just identifying it, because this right here is the biggest problem plaguing the veteran community. One of the things that has to be looked at is the following. I'll use Logan as an example. I've said his name. I'll say Sam. If Logan and Sam have IBS, migraines, and back pain, they will say something like, Lisa, I have IBS, back pain, right? And migraines. I have this. I have a headache. I have. But when we're talking mental health, I would offer to you all that we don't use that same line of reason. Because I don't tell Barbara I have a migraine or that I have anxiety. I tell her I am anxious. I don't say that I'm having an episode or having some symptoms that are flaring up. No, I am depressed. I am moody. I am. And when a veteran's been out of service for such a long time that they keep saying that, it is no different than a Marine believing that they are the proud few Marines, because it's ingrained in you. You earned that eagle of an anchor. You take pride. Every veteran knows their service songs. You take pride in your service because it was ingrained into you to appreciate that service, that pride, right? So if you ingrain into yourself that I am depression and I am sadness and I am lonely and I am detached and I am and I am and I am and I am, well, I'm here to tell you that the reality is many people face depression, but the deadly combination that leads to statistics is when depression is coupled with detachment, because it goes a little something like, would Logan even care if I'm still around? Would Barbara even notice if I don't show back up? That's not a depression conversation. That's a detachment conversation. Understanding that the untreated aspect of mental health can go your entire life. I promise you that you can live an entire life of depression, but you cannot spend days with an impacted tooth or a broken leg or a migraine. But men and women came back from Korean War, they came back from Vietnam, they came back from the Gulf, they came back from Iraq, from Afghanistan, from fill in the blank. They came back from their barracks one late night when they were attacked. And they've never been the same ever since. But we just say, oh, that's just, DP and Logan, they're just, grumpy. They're just moody. They're just. Would you say the same thing if me and Logan were missing a leg? We walked with a limp because we had a prosthetic? No, you'd say, well, the reason they can't run is because they have this condition, obviously. So I'm saying that because we have to come to a place as leaders, right? Breaking down the stigma is not doing push-ups for awareness. It's actually having a conversation that this veteran rated 30% is not knowing how to express what is happening. I don't care how smart you are. I didn't just show you a master's degree in the beginning to show off. It's to say that regardless of the multiple degrees that I have, this is a foreign language. Mental health is not regular conversation. We do not have the words. To put it a little more plainly, to make sure that you're seeing what I'm saying, how do I come to a place of realistically explaining what is happening? I gave an example in Vegas. Sam remembers this, and Reggie. This is a story that someone may relate to. This is my desk, Barbara. I don't have a lot of things that I have. Mobility is limited. And let's go ahead and age me and say that I'm a Vietnam veteran or older. And this is my little workbench. And Logan is my son. And family comes to see me, pick me up and take me. I'm estranged, I'm divorced, got it. And here comes Logan just trying to get pops to his appointment. But I've lost mobility. I don't get out as much. I deal with the issues that I deal with. And Logan, out of the goodness of his heart, comes with his wife to clean up my desk. Let me ask you a question, you little shit. Who the fuck gave you the right to touch my things? Oh, Gramps is having a moment. He'll be fine. No, what is happening, right? Zooming out for a second is, as veterans, when it comes to mental health, we do not have vocabulary. And when a kid doesn't have vocabulary, what do? They act out. Babies cry because they don't have words. As kids grow, what do we say? Use your words. What is wrong with you? I am hungry. Yes, you will be fed. This hurts. We'll address it. But as a veteran, I cannot explain why the hell I just told my son Logan everything under the sun. Well, here's what actually happened. Logan has come and touched my things. And he moved things on my desk. And all you see is that DP is just now upset as usual and blue as lid. He'll be fine later. And usually I'll come back and say, I'm sorry, son. I didn't mean to blow up. I just, I lost my cool. Here's the reality. Let's dissect it. I'm not sorry. You triggered me. And when you trigger a veteran, the response is to get blood for blood. You upset me, you hurt me, I'm going to hurt you. Do I like the fact that I'm saying this to you? No. Do I want to hurt my son? No. Do I want to hurt my spouse? No. Do I want to verbally assault somebody? No, I do not. But I do it because I'm triggered, and hurt people hurt people. What people don't see is the following. What Logan doesn't understand, and his well-wishing wife who comes to take me to the appointment and sees my desk as a mess, is that I, unlike you, Logan, cannot walk anymore. I don't have the ability to go places the way I used to. You have to come and get me. I don't have a wife because maybe she passed or she left. I'm by myself here. This is my corner. I can't control my bodily functions. I can't control my mood, Barbara. I can't control balance sometimes, Randolph. If I climb a ladder, I might fall over because of vertigo. Sometimes I don't hear the bell ring because my tinnitus is so loud. And you know what? The only thing I have is my little desk and my little veteran hat that I care about. And you came and you moved it? You touched it? Who gave you the right to take what is left of me? Because what a veteran does not understand to say, or does not have the vocabulary to say, is that I've lost the ability to do things. I may not recognize who I see in the mirror anymore. I can't control my mood. I can't control my body. It's not responding the way it was. This was not what was supposed to happen, because when I was a 17-year-old kid and that sign says, we want you, I said, I am here and let's go do great things. And after the fact, what happened was neglect and hurt, detachment, and just being lost. But I had to suck it up and drive on, because the military, like I told you before, has trained us to do things that, quite frankly, are great for combat, but not for life. What got us through combat doesn't get us through life. What got us through hardships are not sustainable at scale. I'll give you an example. Half of this room right now is a unit. We're going to take A platoon and B platoon, right? And split them up. The fact of the matter is that if, as leaders, we have assets at a high tempo environment, we will deploy them and then recall them and then rotate them out, right? You even get your car serviced every so often. You have to replace things. So why does the mentality that got us through Vietnam and wars, et cetera, is the mentality we keep with us for 20, 30, 50 years? It's not sustainable. It's not real. Suck it up and drive on only works when you're taking incoming fire, not in real life. Take a Motrin, change your socks, and drink water is not the suitable response to take care of issues. So when we're dealing with a mental health conversation and veterans, it really is a mental health conversation, because it's not about the rating. It's not about the 30%. It's that I've lost the ability to do things. The fact that I was supposed to, at this age, do something that I can't do anymore. This is not what I signed up for. I was supposed to retire or be doing this by this age, not sitting here doing this at this fucking table. So here comes Logan and moves my things with the best of intentions. You, young man who never served, who has all the freedoms in the world, who has a car, who can drive, not plagued by migraines or night terrors, not plagued by the issues that veterans deal with. Because of my service, you were able to benefit and go to school. Your benefits were paid for because of my service. And you moved my things. Hell, I can't even feel my hands sometimes, and you move my things. I can't even go outside to check the mail without thinking a loud bang might be the end of me, but you moved my things. I can't even go to see you and the grandkids because I'm dealing with fucking IBS and I can't control my body, but you move my things. How do you explain that? You don't, because you don't understand what's happening. So what do? You lash out. And we see it all the time. I don't want to talk to a therapist. I don't want to talk to a psychologist. The reality is that veterans will begin to get help when this conversation happens more. I don't give two shits what degrees you have, because the last time I checked, none of us ever got care unless someone pushed us to it. Let's be realistic. I had no intentions of getting care, but you know what? There came Barbara, and she's like, DP, I've been telling you, DP. And it's just like, God, Barbara's coming on Monday. Let me go take care of this. I did it, Barbara. I went to the doctor, like hook or crook. I had no intentions of getting into this line of work, but Sam wouldn't stop harassing my soul. And here we are. So my point is that that's how life happens. How did you all come into EXP? Was it a Google search, or was it someone you knew? How did you wind up here right now? Didn't someone tell you? So this concept and thinking that it is the service or the VA that will do something is flawed, because all the accolades we have in service is not because the Army did a thing. For the Marines, it's not because the Marine Corps did a thing. No, it's because chest stayed polar. It's because the person to my left and to my right. What got us through battle was us. We trained, we did things, and once we were deployed and we were where we were, whatever our job was, it was all about the person to your left and to your right. That's what got us through hard times. Because for those that may have deployed, and again, it doesn't matter if you did or didn't, but the worst of duty stations, the worst of assignments, I don't care if you were at boot camp, the worst experiences of your life, the worst times were made bearable because of the person to your left and to your right. That's what got us through it. I was going to fall out of that ruck march. I tell you what, I looked over and Randolph is there looking at me. Bill jumps in, starts seeing cadence, and Logan's like, don't you quit. I'm like, fuck, I'm pushing through. I'm saying that because it's literally us. We have to go to a place of understanding that, yes, there are benefits. Yes, the VA is doing things. Yes, there are many things out there, but I spent how many years ignoring all of that? And all of you, how long, if you ever been to get care or been to the VA, how did it take you to get to those places? Because nobody buys a house because of an advert. It's usually because, hey, you know what? Reach out to Bill. He took care of me a few times. Reach out to Reggie. He sold me a house, followed up with me, took care of my dad as well. Word of mouth, right? It's good for business. It's good for life. So when do we begin to have this conversation about what actually is not impressive? Because I can talk about my air marshal days and everybody likes that. It's impressive. It's high speed. It's all impressive. But can we talk about the fact that sometimes going to the mailbox causes anxiety? Let me show you my scars and my bad back and the x-rays, but showing you what's happening in my mind, oh, that we're not going to do. Let me show you this knee. When I move it to the left, it kind of pops out of socket. It's a fun party trick. What about depression? What about the times that at 4:30 in the morning you drive at an accelerated speed and you think to yourself, would anybody care? I'm not saying I'm a danger to somebody else. I'm not saying come and take my guns. I'm just saying that sometimes I just wake up in the morning with affirmations and I just curse and say, why am I still here? That maybe the burden of leadership is upon us and people under our care did not come back the same. And arguably some of us never came back ourselves and we were lost. So the conversation of mental health and why veterans need to seek it begins in having this conversation to normalize it. That for all the things I may have done, for all the things you may have done, peel it all back. We are hurt, jaded, broken people. And that's okay. I've assembled a crew of amazing veterans to help us do things, but to make no mistake about it, my entire organization is made up of 100% P&T veterans. Military sexual trauma rated veterans. Veterans who've seen things, who've done things that no one should have to see. And you all have the honor of helping people do something. Because sometimes you just want to have something you can touch, that you can own. And what you all do, you have access to people. Yes, there are veterans out there even who, quite frankly, never have been welcomed home. And I would offer to you all that there's another side to this, because while this hat is nice and many people can look at it, whatever you've been to is what it says, for some this is triggering. Because there's also a demographic of veterans who their service was not what it was supposed to be. Because maybe as a man, I was assaulted sexually. Maybe my service doesn't end like some of you are. I'm happy that you have all these awards on your table and on your wall. My service didn't go like that. It started with the best of intentions, but it didn't end that way. So now what do we do? I don't associate myself with the veteran community because I don't feel like I am one. And the thinking of service does not bring back good memories. It brings back the trauma, the aggressors, the perpetrator. But I vowed to myself that this will never happen again, so I made myself into somebody different. And I will tell you this, when you're dealing with someone who may have experienced military sexual trauma, because it is very prevalent, we're seeing it now. We've worked with veterans as far back as 1976. I don't care what your condition was or what you dealt with. I will tell you this, if you've experienced anything traumatic, the quick litmus test is this. Can anybody here name to me what day 8, May 5th, 2021? But I promise you that there's a date in your head, because maybe it was July 2nd of 85 on a dark night when this happened. Or a regular convoy operation was going off September 2nd, 2005. And you let 30 men and women out the wire and you came back with 5. 1976, May 2nd, it means something to somebody. It means something they put away that they don't want to talk about. A violation of trust. So my point is that traumatic events will stay with you for a long time. There are so many veterans right now that don't understand that getting care leads to getting benefits. But beyond that, working to uncover something, because when someone goes down this path, it gets harder before it gets easier. Because the worst thing about having language is then having the words. Now I can tell you what triggers me, what hurts me, what bothers me. And the journey really begins then. But what people don't look at is it's beyond just a veteran. It's not Social Security. It's not a hand-me-out. It's a vindication that I am not fucking crazy. That my failures at business weren't because I couldn't do it. It was because of the fact that I have the inability to maintain effective relationships. If anybody here has filed a claim, you heard something along the lines of, make sure you show up kind of disheveled because they look at the hygiene. No, that's amateur hour shit. Neglect of personal hygiene means that there was a time when Bill and I took pride in how we dressed. Baby, you couldn't tell us nothing. We had an outfit for every day and 2 on Sunday. But after time and pain, both physical, emotional, psychological, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. Not in the Zoom, in this life. So I don't care what I look like. I tried the marriage thing. It didn't work. Hell, Bill, I tried to get a job. That didn't work either. Tried to do my own little business. That didn't work either. I'm just tired. I don't feel like it matters. So I don't care about changing outfits, looking a certain way. So it's not about, oh, don't take a shower so the VA sees you from one day. There are people literally who just have just lost themselves. And again, I'm saying this because to a good degree, it may be triggering, but the only way that we can begin to heal and have conversations to get someplace is to be real. You cannot heal unless you get real. That's just the facts. And understanding the cadre that we have here all of you as leaders, not only may this apply to yourself, but this also goes to the individuals you speak about, because it's more than a transaction. And again, we could talk sales and all that stuff, but the reality is that deep down inside, I just maybe have forgotten what it feels like to win. I left service in '67, and it's just been going through the motions. And you don't understand, Logan, that you handing me keys to help me buy this house. It's not just a house. It's doing that thing that I thought I never could do. I have something. This is mine. I've never had anything. Homelessness, drug addiction, legal problems, all kinds of ups and downs, and finally got care and was able to get to this place that my certificate of eligibility gives me a ticket to do something, to own something, to take pride in something, to put a flag out front. But for some veterans, they're nowhere near to that. So it's not just get a rating so you get, your fees waived and all. No. This conversation really comes down to the fact that we are literally interacting with people. And if we don't become aware to tell not only our stories, but ask these questions and be aware of what's happening, the importance of mental health, what usually happens is, wasn't that dude DP the guy who get in class, whatever? Did you ever happen to him? They found him off the cliff. Oh man, that's crazy. Just talk to him. Oh, I never saw it coming. It always is the same story, right? So one of the biggest things that we have here at Veterans Network is disabled, but not unable. What that means is simply, I don't want to be thanked for my service anymore. Don't shake my hand and tell me, thanks for your service. Let me be of service again. Let me feel alive again. Let me be part of the conversation again. Don't dismiss me as just something to move on to the next one. Why can't you give me your business? Why can't I be a realtor? Why can't I try? Why can I not be in an organization that understands that I have limitations, and despite the limitations, I have support in place to work around it? Because the fact is that maybe Reggie forgets things and maybe Brian forgets things, but it's great that we have virtual assistants for them. I know you're gonna forget. So let's be real, right? How do you sequence up a cadre, a company of 100% disabled veterans? You get really honest about the fact that people are gonna have shortcomings. Guess what? Logan's out of commission. That's migraine, cover down. It's not a foreign concept. Again, we're not violating ADA, but we're normalizing the conversation of saying, hey, I'm not in a good place right now. I have a big TikTok following and I'm doing stuff on social media and other places. And yesterday I told the team, I'm trying to fix something. I spent about a good 5 hours trying to get some tech thing to work. Long story short, it's like everything looked fine. It's just like, I don't care what you say, it looks fine. The way my OCD is set up is I have to have it a certain way. And my inability to fix something, it just plays in my narrative of my head. For the people looking at symptoms, that's called obsessional rituals that sometimes interfere with daily activities of living. That's a symptom of mental health at the 100% range. That when you get something in your head, you just can't let go. Hey, Logan, just go ahead and do that stuff. It'll be fine. Nah, you give that shit to Logan. Trust me, he's going to figure a way to get it done. But the way we present that is Logan is tenacious and he's, mission driven. He's going to get her done. He's not going to quit. There's no quit in Logan. He's going to get her done. That's what he does. That sounds cute. But in the confidence circle, Logan, shut the fuck down. You've literally been at it for about 30 hours. You have not slept. You have not eaten. You have not stopped. OCD has taken over you, and now you're going down a spiral. The last thing I'll share with you all is, and we'll open up the Q&A, the Roomba story that I've told sometimes. My wife decides we're going to buy a Roomba. I said, we're going to go look for a Roomba. Check. I make a point to go looking, Googling, researching a Roomba, and I show my wife one Roomba review video. She says, okay. I saw her another video. She says, all right, you're spiraling. I'll see you later. My wife is also a disabled veteran. So literally the household with a service dog, like everything's on the open. So it's just like, and you're going down your rabbit hole. About 5 hours later, and 100 videos of Roomba reviews and pros and cons and all this stuff, you finally make a decision to do a thing. Now, the reason I say that is because it might seem harmless, like, oh, you're just, doing due diligence. Like, no, because I did not eat for those 6 hours. I did not do what I had to do for those 6 hours. And I was literally in a manic just circle of trying to get to the bottom of this thing because I was sure I was going to find something opposite of what I was looking at. It's not that serious. It doesn't matter. It's what we're fixated on. So for us as veterans, some of our strengths and things that we put out there as far as what is good that we bring to the table, we also have to look at the reverse side of it. One of the jokes we have internally was like, oh, DP doesn't sleep. That's cool when you look at it one way, but it's not cool when you look at the fact that the guy actually doesn't sleep. Because when you couple mental health and insomnia with running a business and doing this stuff, it's not a healthy situation. And the only way it works is to have people around you to just know. So the concept of getting help for your mental health, really, it begins right here, being real and being honest. Because there are some veterans who I frankly don't know. And because I don't know, back to the examples, and I just said many examples of many veterans, just using myself as an example, to not be too triggering to people. But that conversation has happened. I cursed out my son, Logan, when he moved my desk stuff. It's a story many people can relate to. But you're lying to yourself when you apologize, because the reality is you're not apologizing. I meant to hurt your feelings. The things that I said were hurtful on purpose. I wanted to hurt you because you triggered me. So when you are, let's say, seeing, right, a mental health professional, these are the conversations that have to happen. Not a staring contest of I don't trust you, because for veterans and those that are dealing with PTSD, whether combat, non-combat, or personal assault related, here's the problem. We don't trust people. We don't let people in our circles. So I don't trust this psychologist. I don't trust this therapist. This is a very personal journey. So sometimes, what helps is having this conversation. What helps is being real like this and having a safe place to have a conversation about, I never knew, Bill, that you dealt with those things. I never knew, Logan, you dealt with those things. Because we always feel like we're the only ones, and we have these conversations for the first time. What ends up happening is we begin to realize that we're not alone. And the first one I told in the beginning is that depression alone is common, but the detachment is the deadly part. Because I am the only one dealing with this. I am the only one that knows this. I am the only one who feels like this. I am the only one plagued by this. And if I'm not here, no one will notice and no one will care. It's a narrative that we spin in our minds. And for those with complex traumatic events, we also at times develop bipolarism. I've been doing this, working with veterans since 2018. We've helped north of 8,000 veterans, a high successful rate, and countless others online through various viral videos and things that we've done. And I'll tell you that a common theme I've seen a lot, anecdotally speaking, is a misdiagnosis at times of bipolarism within veterans. And my personal thesis, which is not a DSM-5, is that it is a survival mechanism. Think about it. I was a 17-year-old kid, first duty station, and I was assaulted sexually. I weighed 140 pounds and I was assaulted. And I vowed that that would never happen again. And I made a point to become the biggest, most lethal person you would ever seen. But all that you guys saw was that nephew DP went to boot camp and came back after a year or two, swole, big and strong. Don't kid yourself. The 140-pound, broken, abused young man lives inside that 240-pound muscle-bound thing you see in front of you. And the only way I was able to survive that was bipolarism, AKA I had to develop a whole different personality. I had to become something to never go back to that place again. Or I was that woman that this happened to, and I vowed that would never happen to me again, so I turned to somebody else. And the telltale sign is when you see failed relationships and marriages and all these interpersonal things that end the same exact way. Logan, I don't even know who you are anymore. Bill, I just don't know. Everything you're saying is a lie. What is going on here? Everything is a lie. Well, here's the reality. Yes, everything that you know from me is a lie because you never met me. I never came back from Vietnam. I never came back from that assault. I never came back from Iraq. What came back was survival. You married survival. You married a facade. You never met David. I was emotionally unavailable. How do you tell that to your wife of 20 years? You've had grown men and women married 20, 30 years, never told their spouse they were victims of assault, violent claim. How do you have the conversation? How do you get help for that? How do you get in care? I don't care what your statistics say. So it starts here with us having these conversations, because hopefully it begins the process of saying, I need to work on this. I need to go for this. It's a contractual obligation that was failed. Uncle Sam said, we want you. And in turn, we showed up, we served, and we may have left a little bit dented. And as one of our advisors said, when you rent a vehicle, you're supposed to bring it back exactly how you found it, fueled up and everything. We lent our bodies, our minds, our times to service, and they brought it back on an empty tank with a lot of dings and broken knobs. They're liable. The end. I don't care if the injuries happen on the highway, back streets, or in the garage. You rented this and you bring it back the same, or you pay the damages. Veterans, the exact same thing has happened. Let's not let our pride hold us back from these things. But again, that is the salient point here. The conversation of mental health has to be told by being real and telling these stories. We come from a culture of stories. That's how we have military traditions. So maybe we start telling the story of how some of you all worked through your depression and your mental health situations and got yourself to a place where I would have never known you dealt with this. Because maybe hearing that Randolph went through what I went through, and Paul and Maria and Alex and Joe, it gives me hope that maybe I can too. But if all I see is the success story and them being on top, I never see the journey. It's not for me, right? So I leave you with that. You know, the heaviest thing to pick up, as Amy always says, is a phone. But the fact is that we may be disabled, but we're not unable. We're still here. We still have service. We still can still do what we can do. And maybe I cannot do what I used to do, but I can still talk. And I'm going to talk, right? So this conversation, because of the category that we have, it's a little bit different because it's a conversation of, hey, maybe it's to you, but I promise you, you will deal with someone who is experiencing these things, right? Give them grace. This is not a conversation of one day we do everything. This is, hey, let's get down to basics, understanding what the stats are, the reality. Now what do? We simply do the following. Logan, when you're ready, I'm here. That's it. When you're ready, Christina, I'm here. I don't have to push you. Just know that I'm here. I get it. I understand. When someone's in a dark place that you worked yourself out of, crawl back in that dark place and just sit down. Because I know how to get out of here. Not because I'm better than you, but I got out of here. When you're ready to leave, we'll talk. Meantime, let's go ahead and just shoot the shit. Let me give you grace because I wasn't ready to be pushed for help. And in my zeal to help somebody else, I can trigger you. So today, I'm just here, and I'll tell you my story. And maybe you'll nod, or you won't say anything, or something might be familiar to you. I promise you, it'll come back around, and when you're ready, we'll have a conversation. That's how you do it. Being there, that's the key of all this. One by one, little by little, 24 people in a Zoom that can walk away and impact 24 more people, so on and so on. So we'll open up for some Q&A. Again, a little unorthodox, but I think just being real is actually what really comes in handy. Thanks everyone who commented. Thank you all for your service. For those that did have served, thank you, Paul, Marine Corps, 68 to 92, hurrah. Navy for Reggie, 2005, 2009, Sam Silver, Navy veteran, 2004, 2012. And all the other ones who may have served, even if you have loved ones as well. Richard, Army vet, 86, 2020. Army vet, Logan, 2007, Met, retired, 2021. TC, U.S. Navy, retired, 96, 2016. Melody, U.S. Navy, 96 to 97. Thank you all for your service, but we sure as shit are still in service. So we're here. So hopefully this was of some value to begin to at least frame set the conversation, because it's a very dense topic that we can go in so many ways. But we'll open up the floor. If there are any claims related questions or anything in that regard that you all want to ask, feel free to do that. It's kind of open forum, but I think Q&A usually tends to be the best way to look at things. So I really appreciate the hospitality for allowing me to spend some time with you all today. And true to time, because we started delayed, that puts us at 60. So we still have time on the clock, and I'll stick around and answer questions for a myriad of things, even if it involves my service dog. Reggie, I'll kick it back to y'all and just kind of open it up. So feel free to mute yourself, ask questions. If again, one thing I will say is, if anyone has a question that's private in nature, if you send me a direct message in the chat, I will answer the question anonymously. So that's one of the biggest things, right? The biggest way to do that is to kind of be open that way. So even though we're still recording, usually I'll shut the recording down for this period just to kind of keep it kind of more private and intimate, and not have to have things on the record. So I think that the first part covers, the information, and obviously then going into the Q&A for personal things, I'm good with kind of going offline there as well. But again, if anyone has a question, just send it directly. I'll read it anonymous, and we'll go from there.
Yes, I appreciate everyone joining us here today.
Right,
I'm also going to in the chat. So if you want to, continue reaching out to us for, anything that you may need. Also, if you're running somebody, family, friend, loved one, or even yourself, you can actually touch base with us. We're not too hard to reach out to, and I'll put it in the chat. So, but yes, the floor is open for any questions that anyone may have.
Did Eric get back in my chance? Where's brother Eric?
He did not. He is
Oh,
driving his mother
No.
from the hospital. He got on, got off. So
No. I was going to ask
he
about
will be
his.
watching the replay.
No, that's fine. I was able to have. I met him and his service dog, and obviously a few of you all in Vegas. So Legend is over there taking his time off and relaxing. So that's just wanted to kind of say hey there. Thanks for the question.
Legend and Goomba definitely did enjoy each other.
Yeah, so my service dog and Eric's service dog Goomba, they kind of met in Vegas. It was the funniest thing, right? So having a service dog, I don't do the whole fraternizing with too many dogs because it's just a thing. But of course, we're together. The dogs do the whole eyeballing of each other. Legend just kind of looks and he's like, wait a second. There's something a little bit different about this dog here. Why do I count uno, dos, tres legs? And it was like he was perplexed because he's like, huh? And Goomba's was like, don't get it twisted. I got 3 good ones to get you. Don't get funny. But then they got along, and it was a great meeting that we had there. So thank you, Maria. We catch up here on some of the. As far as the session, I'm good. Like I said, if someone has to drop off, I want to be cognizant of time. But I'm looking at some of the questions that did come in.
Hey, DP, here's the picture of you guys from EXPCon.
There it is.
There you go.
There it is. Yeah, yes, sir. Yep, that's us there on the side, just having a conversation and just kind of bonding and then sharing. So, hey, Paul, good seeing your face, my brother. Appreciate you. Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was in Artesia for a little bit with the academy, with the Air Marshal Service in the summer. So fun times in Artesia. Very, very hot.
So DP, I've got a question for you, because I understand that you're an organization that helps veterans get their disability, increase it, and service dogs and all the rest of it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So if I know of a vet that needs your assistance, that I can direct them to you, what sort of costs do they incur eventually?
A great question. So it really depends. And I don't mean that in the, like, well, it depends what you need. No, there is a overwhelming amount of information that we have that is free, right? So the goal here is to meet a veteran where they're at. What that means is we have a plethora of resources on our website for a veteran. And the reality is maybe sometimes someone just needs some information. That's it. So not everybody becomes a client. We are beta testing and putting out a course, right, that's self-paced, right? So that's something that we're in the final throes of kind of putting together. So we realize some folks may want to have that. So really, we've kind of restructured, I've restructured the way we're kind of set up, and looking at the fact that really the business that we've shifted into after working with other organizations, which, you know, many folks are aware of how that works, hence the question, what's the cost, et cetera, is looking at now really more so building a community. I think that's really what's actually taking on a bigger presence for us. So by virtue of that, what we're doing is, and like Sam alluded to, right, having rooms in Clubhouse and social media presences. One of the biggest things you'll see, like I said, look at my social media, we give a lot of content, right? Like yesterday, I literally spent 2 hours on TikTok just answering questions, right? And same right now, like literally, I'm not going to charge you for this. I'm going to give you the information you need. And the reality is that some folks just need a little bit, right? And they can go forth and do great things. Some folks may want to go down the rabbit hole of maybe doing themselves with a course. So that's the reason we're developing that. We're hosting some classes. We're rebranding some workshops that we're going to be also offering, right? So if we look at it, the reality is it needs to be a la carte, right? Someone maybe just needs a workshop to kind of just get an understanding of what they need to do. And if that workshop runs you like $99 for like a 2-3 hour session, then we do a deep dive, you're good to go, you get the resources, and off you go, and you're good to go, right? So the fact, because there needs to be range, right? If someone just needs a little bit of things. So that's where we're at with that as far as creating that. So we're really assessing what the need is, because then I also do speak and do things in other stuff, right? So I'm into crypto and technology and blockchain. So there's other ventures that we're doing. And the goal is that as we're doing those other ventures, that really supplements the business to be able to not have to focus on, oh, a veteran has to contract with us. No, we do have, so basically free services. We're going to roll out workshops. We have a series of ebooks that are free. We have an ebook that's coming out from our course, which will be for a fee, nominal fee. The course itself is sub, $600 for a course to kind of go through the entirety of the claim process. Again, we're beta testing that. And then our advisory service, which is more of our one-to-one, that we're piloting right now, right? So the reality is that looking at the landscape of veterans, it's really, again, what we talked about today was this much of claims and really more about this, right? It's an advisory conversation of understanding what exactly a veteran is dealing with, right? So the business we're in is very different because the reality is you don't need to pay anybody to file a claim. If you can send an email, you can file a claim. It's quite frankly easy. But to understand what we're talking about, that's a whole different conversation. So you don't need to pay someone to go to the gym, but the expertise of skill is another thing. So when the question comes up of, oh, well, why would I pay an organization for something? Yes, you can Google, but the tens of thousands of hours curated to be able to be successful and deliver and talk about things this direct, obviously comes with mastery. So I always akin it to like a plumber, right? You could do it yourself, but if you have a leak, all the professionals, right? Or if you've been denied over and over, again, a veteran's going to pay 2 ways. And that's one of the things that we're being very vocal about, which is there are good VSOs and there are VSOs that should be better. There are good lawyers and there's lawyers that should be better. There's private organizations that just should be better, right? But the reality is a veteran's going to pay with either time or money. That's just the facts. I don't make the rules. It's just the facts. A veteran shouldn't have to wait 30 years to get what they deserve. So when the lawyer, let's say, says, well, Paul, we helped a veteran win back $150,000. Not impressive. That's $150,000 they should have been getting for the past 10 years. Why didn't they get it then? So a lot of these organizations, to answer your question, a lot of organizations that come from like the lawyer side or VSO side, lawyer side or credit agent side, they're only really working with a veteran on the appeal side of the house, right? So you have to kind of go at it. And if you don't win, then I can work with you contractually and charge you, which puts kind of the incentives, the fact that you should get denied, because then I'll have business with you, right? So seldomly will you find a very dedicated environment to get information on your first go. And if someone says, go to the VA, Google it, again, go change your own oil if you've never done it, right? So that's really where we're at with this, right? So I started this organization about a year and change ago, even though I've been in a space with other organizations prior to that for many years, and we've assembled folks, but really now it's saying, okay, wait a second, what's the market dictating? Because the fact is the market is changing, laws are changing, and I do believe that there are predatory organizations out there, right? So I'm not shying from the question. I know there are organizations out there that are charging insane amounts of money because of the fact that they're helping you do 2 things. So 2 phone calls and how to submit a claim doesn't constitute a $10,000 bill. I'm sorry. It's just the facts, right? So we're looking at solutions to do that. So we have a lot of transitioning veterans. Again, someone who's in service who just wants to get an assurance of what they should do. We're offering things even for transitioning veterans. Again, a workshop for them. So it makes sense to be able to do workshops and a series of classes for them to address those needs. And by doing that inherently, right, that brings a slew of other business our way in many other ways. So it's for profit on this side of the house. It's not a nonprofit situation, even though technically, when I get technical, nobody works for free. That's just the facts. But to answer your question specifically, it really depends on what a veteran needs, right? Everybody that we reach out to, they can have a conversation with one of our advisors and kind of just get some information, right? Just like now. And the fact of the matter is that there's going to be about a good 80% of folks that may not need, right, what, you know, more than X amount of information, right? And most of the time, we'll just send people off and say, hey, you're good to go. Now, if somebody turns around like, well, look, I don't care what you say, Paul, I want to work with you. I trust you. I believe in you. I bought into you. I want to work with you. Okay, that is a sacred relationship because we have trust. Now, how do we do the conversation, right? So we're revisiting even what the advisory side of the house looks like as far as that one-on-one, because it's always going to be that, right? Someone's like, look, I don't want to do courses. I don't want to do any of that stuff. I want to work with you directly. So we're examining what that looks like there.
So you
Correct.
have an a la carte menu.
Correct, right.
So-
And we're right now in the beta of really assessing that because there's a shift in the market in the sense of it's been so saturated by just a one offering organization, right? Sign a contract to have us basically do everything for you. Okay, well, that only gives you one option. Whereas again, now it's ebooks or workshops or a specialized one-on-one. So we're really kind of assessing all that and resetting. So there's a lot of that, but a la carte would be the best answer for that. So we're updating even that. So right now we're bringing people in beta testing some of the stuff. So we're literally giving courses away. We're testing people through the process because I think it's an investment in solving a problem. So I believe that we can do business differently. And by doing so, right, by taking care of people, business itself creates a brand. Once you have brand recognition and support, guess what? The rest of it comes into place. So I'm thinking macro versus micro. So again, that's why I have to kind of elaborate, because when someone tells you, well, it really depends on what you need, it's just me saying, let me close you so I can get you the big ticket item. No, the fact is, look, do this, do that, you're good to go. Or, you know, maybe try this course or maybe try this workshop. So having that option, I think, is actually a better way, you know, to build a business and take care of veterans, because we're tired of being lied to, you know. So
you're under construction and you're open at the same time.
Correct.
Got
Correct.
it. Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both, right? You know what I'm saying? But again, because
adaptable.
it's a true definition of being agile. You know, that's fine. It's a true definition of being agile because we're really making a point to try to, you know, get down to a place of actually solving a problem, right? Not just assuming solutions to a problem, if that makes sense.
Got it. Well, I was remiss in not mentioning earlier.
Recording stopped.
I appreciate Deanna putting this together. Deanna, thank you very much for that, for being the pointy end of the spear, if you will.
You
guys are welcome.
Being the point man, yeah, really. Thank you.
You're very
Welcome,
welcome,
guys.
people. Appreciate you. Semper Fidelis. All right, one question that came up. So the question came up, there's a significant lack of awareness and understanding regarding mental health and protection in society because mental health does not show evidence on x-rays, urinalysis, and physical checkups. Does not mean the person is not sick or needs protection. We have so many problems, lack of awareness, lack of outreach, understanding, security. I've lost many friends from depression. I've also had challenging times. Thank you for being here today. You are welcome for that question for that statement that came through. Let's see, I have to say thank you. You just showed a light on a very dark thing I've spent years defending, hiding, and disguising. I felt everything you just said to me spoke directly to my soul. I'm 100% P&T, but them taking my spine and body is not near the struggle as they give my ability to be a dad or a husband. The sleepless nights, the feelings of being emasculated for being so broken so young. That was the most powerful message I've ever heard. I can hide this from everyone, but you literally broke down my life. The obsession, the constantly ruining everything to the ground, the no stone unturned, the not eating, the living off of Copenhagen, the hate, the holy-ish. I feel the lighter knowing I'm not alone because I'm detaching, but have started getting help and have been helping others with their process now, especially, specifically to include mental health first. Thank you. If you ever need volunteers, support, check. Retired Dave, you have a question? Check. Got it, Bill. So again, so some of the points there, which again, they need to be said because again, it's literally creating space to say these things, right? And a lot of the things that I talk about, some of it is my own things, and many things are also things from folks that we've helped along the years, right? So literally, it's a plethora of stories and things we've done there. Check on the water issue. You can feel free to kind of send it directly if you want as well. I'll kind of answer it there, but specifically, what are you thinking? Feel free to put it in the chat as far as that's concerned. Because when we're starting to look at that, there's some presumptives in place. There's some instances where we're trying to address certain issues. So those that don't know, right? Direct service connection means, hey, this is something that happened in service. Secondaries means that this was caused secondary to something else, aka my knee is rated, then my back got worse, so now my knee caused my back is secondary to my knee, which is primary. I'm gonna jump out of here, perhaps. Then you have the presumptive side of the house for things that we know, Agent Orange, et cetera. But then there are also instances for like water contamination, blue water, vets, et cetera. So, getting some of those things in place, and then the PAC Act now, which also adds a whole new slew of additional things. So there's a misconception that the PAC Act is going to add a number of things, right, to someone automatically. And really, it's an expansion packet, right? So it's not a new presumptive thing. It's an expansion of many things, both ranging in healthcare and ranging in benefits as well. So just kind of doing that there. So I'll wait for a question there. And again, even for that one there, I'll give you also a link directly there too. I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in as well. A lot of private messages, not more questions, just more statements. So check on that. Let me go ahead and just make sure. Number. Very welcome. All right, so let me see here. Just wanted to answer. Okay. I'll put.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Sure. You may.
You coming to EXP Con 2023? With us?
I kind of snuck in there like a ninja.
You got to come again, brother. Got to come again.
Yeah, I snuck in there for the last one, but I really honestly enjoyed meeting all of you and what you all are doing with the MailNet. Again, it speaks to the true long-term ROI versus the short-term. Hey, let's just make it look nice because it's going to close more leads and do a thing. So I get it, right? And the fact is that doing business is a little bit different. It's hard to differentiate yourself because, again, right, what's different my organization than the other ones? The difference is I'm right here. That's basically what it comes down to, right? Because the other ones, you'll be pressed. And the reason, I'll lead these conversations and I jump out there, yeah, I might be the CEO and founder of my organization, but it matters. So I'll lead from the front because that's what I would have wanted to see, not just a support email and someone get back to you in 15 business days. I get it, right? But I'm tired of doing that. So the fact of the matter is, we'll show up, we'll say these things, right? So, we're doing business a little bit different and is yet to be undefined, but it's exciting to do something different because, again, I've seen what others offer, and given what we're doing, there's no competition. Because, again, where are they? And I'm not, bashing anyone. I'm just saying, where are they? Because I believed in Reggie. I went to Vegas and I spent time with you all. Nobody invited me. I paid my way, went to Vegas, spent time with you all, and we had a breakout on the hallway, and we talked, and we spent time, and we are here because it matters. Because, again, if it helps one person to be able to say, okay, this makes sense, and this is actually what I needed to hear, well, guess what? Maybe, Deanna, yes, salute for being the tip of the spear, but if out of the 20 plus and those that see the replay, if one person can reach out and say, you know what, I needed this, mission accomplished. And again, it starts this way, but then maybe tomorrow there's 50 people show up and 2 people get help. And we keep scaling and growing. So it's doing something a little bit different of, what, I'm not a good businessman, but I know for a fact that we need to help and solve a problem. So that's why my answer to things are a little bit different than most would think. But once we understand the psychology of an individual, and the one thing I didn't say that actually, Dana, was just kind of funny. Someone asked, we had a client who spent 4 months coming to our sessions that I lead, right, on different things.
That's okay.
And at the 4-month mark, he comes out and says, Brian, you get a kick when I say his name. The daggone person comes out and goes, well, you know what? I really have to double down and say DP is 100% correct. I'm a practicing psychologist for the past 20 plus years. I'm like, you've been a psychologist this whole time and I'm here talking about this stuff? What? And he was a client. But my point at hand is, again, just because you practice law doesn't mean you understand the intricacies of this specific area. So not discrediting things, but connecting textbook to life is different. So my ability to talk about these things at a different vantage point comes from my background in counterterrorism. You know what I'm saying? I spent the whole career traveling undercover, people watching, people searching, psychology. So when you think of being an air marshal, right, like, oh, it's cool, what kind of abilities you have? No, my job was literally profiling people, understanding people, going places. So when you're having conversations, you know what I'm saying, there's no magic to it. It's literally like, hey, Logan, bum, bum, bum. And I'm just like, you start looking around, Bill, so-and-so, so-and-so. And trust me, it's just one of those things where you just pick up, you know what I'm saying, the fact of like, you see yourself, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for myself. I'm like, okay, there I am. And that's a skill born out of spending time with people, observing people. And we can do that and deploy that with veterans at large, game over. And we saw that in Vegas on a side hallway. We literally just had like a whole huddle. And next thing you know, we're sitting there, people are crying, we're emotional, we're having moments, and we're here virtual, and people feel things because the truth is the truth, whether virtual, in person, or whatever. So, you know, I just offer that to say that that's really, you know, the skill set that's brought us to this point, is understanding that, hey, we're in the people business, right? And we embody here the Maya Angelou, you know, moniker, right, home, which is people are going to forget what you said. They're going to forget what you did, but they will not forget how you made them feel. And for all the private messages that I got, trust me, you'll forget everything I said. But people will leave here feeling like he got me. He spoke to me. What he said, I just can't explain it, but that's what we need more of, those connections. So so I'm appreciative. Again, I'll put my email. Again, actually, you can all go through Deanna and Reggie if you want to follow up, have any conversations, or whatever the case may be. We are available to support and help. Again, my goal is to be able to, you know, provide and create content even that we can give you all to be more successful in what you do for yourselves and the clients that you serve. Because again, you're out there doing a multitude of things, right? You're meeting veterans, talking to them as you're solving the problem of real estate. You're also having the ability to talk. And that's powerful with someone who doesn't want to talk to somebody sometimes. So thank you all so much for this time and spending, you know, some time here with us. Again, I'm really excited for the future, but I think it's a good start. So, you know, it's cool stuff. So there's that part. You see here.
I just shared a note in the chat that we are working, the Milnet, Mike Nelson and I, my co-chair, we have this BHAG, big hairy goal to put together a military mastermind a day and a half ahead of shareholders this upcoming May. We want to focus on business and personal growth for our veteran and mil spouse agents. That's who it's really going to be directed for. This is not going to be an event to come and see how to sell more houses to vets. It's more about our business growth, our personal growth, being successful in real estate, being successful in our lives. That
is crazy. You think that that's literally something on our website that we care about?
Yeah,
business development and personal development. What a crazy concept.
Exactly. So that's, you know, that's something that's really what's important to us with the Milnet is it's, and that's, you know, yeah, we do have a lot of military supporters that have joined our military network. It's a large portion of our membership. And we are very clear when we, you know, deal with our content that this is really about providing value to our men and women who have served and to their families and spouses who are working in real estate. It's not about more lead gen tools. Okay. It's a different mission. And this is what we're hoping this military mastermind, we want to kind of start small before shareholders. We have the opportunity, if we want to, in the following year, to partner with the Military Influencers Conference and have a conference within a conference also for our military and male spouses. That's another vision to see it grow by 2024. But guys, this is something that we're really excited about. We really want to see it come to fruition. And as soon as we have more information, we'll go ahead and share that with you. And hopefully we'll be able to have DP and the Veterans Network involved in that also.
100%. I love that. Again, you know, new things. New things are what's needed in the space. Thanks for the message. Also, just so I'm clear, Sam, you're resending over messages, correct? Just so I'm clear.
Oh, okay. I shared my link with on my Clubhouse. So if you see me a second time,
I'm just seeing the comment. That's all. So
yeah, if you see me a second time, it's coming from somebody I'm
no problem at all. I just threw me off when I was looking at the question. That's all. So I was like, wait a second, are you messaging? So check.
No problem.
All right. So another thing came in. Everything you said is me. This comes from not Sam.
Yes,
It's
Sam.
anonymous. It is Sam. But everything you said is me. I'm working on getting help with the VA. I was also pushed by my uncle, who is a veteran, to stop suffering in silence. I'm new to the real estate business, but because I felt like it's something I could do, I want to help other veterans. Now being divorced, starting over, how can I be a part of supporting this group and doing some of these things that we are doing? So again, the private message, I read them because, again, it's like one of those things of like, holy cow, like, you know what I mean? We're making an impact. That's the biggest thing, right? It's like, hey, if nothing else, to Deanna's and Reggie's, efforts here, I think that really speaks volumes. So thank you all for.
We picked up one.
I've added a link in there that if anybody wants to do a quick one-on-one call with me to talk more about getting involved with the MilNet, we've got so many different programs. Like I said, it's Veterans Resources. Reggie and his team obviously need a lot more support. We have an education team. We obviously have the referral network too, but and our state squad leadership and doing things at the local level, it's exploding. We've got things happening all over the country that are just EXP and our military family just giving back to the community, and some pretty powerful things. So if you're interested and want to plug in and get more involved, there's that link to set up some time with me. And if you put in your notes, if you really want to work and talk more with Reggie, we'll get him on the call too. If there's some other things that interest you, just let me know. All right.
100%. And we'll share some stuff that we're working on. So I'll give you one of the first ones here to actually see this. Reggie literally just saw it a few hours ago, but we're going to start up an initiative here internally as well. So we actually have one of our advisors who actually mentioned, he is here as well. Say hello or not. We're going to start this, which actually came out of our ability to try to be there for folks. And again, for those that have served, that, hey, if all else fails, the chaplain is always a place you can go and kind of at least have some kind of refuge and feel like you're not being judged and so forth. So we're going to be deploying the chaplain's corner. And we actually do have one of our advisors who comes from that background and has done that in many ways. So, being able to have space and encouragement, right, for those that need it in that space like that is something also that literally we're looking at. So that's one of the mock-ups that we have. So kind of just giving you all a heads up of something because we have our very own Vernon Cooper Sr. who is actually that person. Vernon wants to say hello.
Hello, everyone out there, and I'd like to say, DP, you did a masterful job as usual, and we want to thank everyone who showed up today because we're here in this space because we want to continue to serve, and as DP said, we don't want you to just thank us for our service. We want to be of service, and to the brothers and sisters who are here, who also served, we thank you. And thank you for what you do every day as you go out and impact the world in general, because what you do is so vitally important. We thank you for that.
And that is our very own Vernon Cooper Sr., a.k.a. the VNCC chaplain. We have our new to roll chaplain's corner. So, but I appreciate you all. Like I said, our information is out there, so I don't want to hold folks up too much. I know folks have other things to do, and I'll be conscious of their time. But again, follow us, jump in, ask questions. Again, we're building relationships long-term here, not short-term lips. So thanks. They'll appreciate you. But unless any other questions, I'm good on my side. Like I said, we can always reconvene back if you want to collect questions that may come. We'll, kind of connect the pieces there. So we'll let it marinate for a little bit. I appreciate you all. Paul, thank you. Logan, thank you. Christina, Melody, John, Maria, Joe, TC Dallas, I appreciate you. Sam, my brother, I appreciate you in 3 different locations. You popped up here like a tactical ninja. Thanks for all that you do. Fun fact that I always make a point to say, Sam and I go back quite a bit. He actually is the person who bought the domain Veterans Network .club for us when we were starting this whole concept on Clubhouse of just talking about these things. And he was like, hey, you should get this. I got the domain. It's yours. And he gifted it to us. And the website I just showed you all lives on a domain that was gifted to us from one of your own. So I always like to give Sam his flowers, and especially here among you all, Sam is an integral part of literally before we thought this was a thing. And that's a story for another conversation. But thank you, Sam.
Thank you for all that you're doing, and it's amazing where we've gone to, where we came from, and I had no idea that we were going to be able to connect in person so many years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And it'll be better next year, so I'm ready.
God works in mysterious ways, my friend.
I'm piggybacking with Reggie.
Suitcase.
Mm-hmm. But outside of that, Dan, I will give it back to you to kind of close out, and Reggie. But thank you all for your time.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you joining us. Please reach out if you, like I said, want a meeting with me or with Reggie, or just get some more information about how to get hooked up with the Veterans Network and DP's group over there. Please let us know. We're here for you. And welcome to the family and welcome to our community.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you. All right. Let's see. We'll stay back with the VNCC crew here. I'll just follow suit from there. But sweet. Let's see, Brian. Oh, there you are. Your co-host already. So I'll be right back, Brian. Or if not, actually, we can actually just reset on our personal on another room. Yeah. And
We'll just shut this down and go back in your room.
Yep. Yeah. So I'll jump onto that one. Take Legend out real quick, then I'll be back.
Everybody.
All right, y'all.
All right, Clubhouse. CM. Invite you on stage. Bitcoin. Invite you on stage. See if you guys want to talk. Let me go to my StreamYard and let's turn on my camera. There we go. So I got StreamYard going, and CM, always nice seeing you in the room. Hope all is well. Bitcoin, nice meeting you. I think I've seen you in some other rooms, but CM, can you talk? There's some stuff actually I want to talk to you about, CM. Let me do this. Let me send you a message. Start a chat. Hey there. Here, I'm gonna leave you. Hold on a second. Let me do this. I'm going to change this. Oh, sorry. I am following you. Let me close some of these windows here. I don't want to close the room, but I just want to close some of these windows here. Let me edit this link up at the top. I want you to come and join me this evening. It's 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Go to Sam Silver Solutions.com. See if that saves up at the top. There you go. CM, click on that. Come and join me. It's going to be 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, so it's going to be 4 o'clock my time. You need to see this. This is ground level, groundbreaking stuff. It's absolutely amazing, and you're going to be flabbergasted, especially since all the things that you do, it lines up great with the credit repair, the business credit, notary public service. It lines up really good with what you're already doing. So I know you can't talk right now, but come and join me tonight. And I'm going to put this also. Let me put this also in the chat. So if somebody else wants to come as well. Solutions. I'll put it in the chat. Oh, copy. I'm so excited. The chat. There we go. Put it there. There. Maybe I'll edit the one on the top too. Maybe that will come out a little clearer, so it's easier to go to. Pamela, thank you so much for coming in the room. Pamela's back, but I will text her. I don't know, I can't follow her. I'll text her. Thank you. Zoom. Now, let's do this. Let's click here and exit my StreamYard. All right. So I'll finish the StreamYard with thank you so much for coming. This was all about veteran benefits. If you're a veteran or know their benefits, please reach out to me. Do your buddy checks. Make sure your vets out there are safe and sound. We want to make sure that, unfortunately, we are losing 22 veterans a day from suicide, and that's not acceptable. Not acceptable at all. And I love to be the catalyst for helping. I love to be the catalyst for helping our veterans to get their resources. And let me put this over here. Oh, wrong way. I guess I'll put it over here. So let's do this. Let's connect. If you look at my little stream down at the bottom, specialize in helping all of these incredible heroes in our community, your veterans, your police, firefighters, nonprofits, government agencies. And if you are a realtor and you would love to be part of our MilNet, military network, where we get great content like what you just saw. It's running really slow now. Oh, let me do this. Let me end this. This is probably, give me a second. All right, so thank you so much for joining me. And if you want to be part of our MilNet, go to mentorshipmastersgroup.com/Sam-Silver. and I would love to talk to you about EXP, what it has to offer. Or you can scan my digital business card off on the left side of the screen. We will talk to you soon, and I'm going to end this broadcast. Bye for now.